I always believed I had the perfect family. A loving wife, a bright son, a peaceful home, everything a man could want after years of hard work. My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 36 years old, and until last year, I thought I understood what happiness looked like. My wife, Melissa, and I had been married for 8 years. We met in college, both majoring in psychology. She never worked in the field, though. After our son Evan was born, she chose to stay home while I built my career as an IT consultant. It wasn't an easy road, but it worked. I provided, she managed the house, and Evan was thriving in school. At least, that's what I believed. Everything started changing the year Evan turned 10. He had a new teacher, Mr. Blake, a charming man in his early 40s. He was the kind of teacher every parent liked. Friendly, articulate, always patient with kids. Melissa was impressed from the start. "He's so dedicated," she told me one evening. "He stays late helping Evan with his projects. You should meet him sometime." I remember smiling. Sure, sounds like a good guy. If only I'd known. At first, nothing seemed strange. Melissa often volunteered at school, helping organize events, bake sales, and PTA meetings. I encouraged it. "It's good for you to socialize," I'd tell her. But soon, those meetings started taking longer. Mr. Blake needed help with the science fair setup. Mr. Blake asked me to stay and sort permission slips. Mr. Blake had car trouble, so I offered to drive him home. His name kept coming up, always casually, but always there. One night, while I was cleaning the kitchen, Evan looked up from his homework and said something that froze me. "Dad, Mom and Mr. Blake are really good friends, huh?" I frowned. "What do you mean, buddy?" He shrugged innocently. "They talk a lot. Sometimes she goes to see him after school when I'm with Grandma." I felt a chill, but brushed it off. Kids misinterpret things all the time, right? Still, that seed of doubt had been planted. A few weeks later, I started noticing changes. Melissa began dressing up more. Makeup every day, new perfume, even bought new clothes. When I joked, "Wow, who are you trying to impress?" she just laughed and said, "Maybe you, if you notice." But it wasn't me she wanted noticing. I knew something was off, but I didn't want to become paranoid, so I waited, observed, watched her routine. Then, one afternoon, I came home early from work, a rare half day. I wanted to surprise her with lunch. Her car wasn't in the driveway, but she told me she was staying home to clean and rest. I called her. No answer. I called again, straight to voicemail. That uneasy feeling in my gut returned. So I drove to the school. The parking lot was nearly empty. Classes had ended an hour ago, but I spotted her car near the back of the lot, behind the gym building. I parked a few spaces away and waited. Minutes passed, then I saw her. Melissa walked out from the side door with Mr. Blake beside her. They weren't carrying school papers or boxes. They were walking too close, their hands brushing, their laughter soft and private. I felt my stomach twist. Then, right before they reached her car, he leaned in and kissed her. She didn't pull away. That single moment shattered everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I didn't confront her right there. I drove away, not because I was afraid, but because I didn't trust myself to stay calm. That night, she came home late. "Sorry, staff meeting ran long," she said, smiling. I stared at her, the same lips that had kissed another man hours ago, and she acted like nothing happened. I nodded, pretending to believe her, but in my chest, something cold had settled. Resolve. If she wanted to live a lie, I'd let her. For now. But I was going to find the truth. Over the next 2 weeks, I gathered proof quietly. Checked her phone when she was asleep. Nothing. Checked her emails. Clean. Checked her social media. Perfectly normal. But I knew she was careful. Too careful. Then one evening I noticed her using a tablet she never mentioned before. When she went to shower, I unlocked it. And there it was. A hidden messaging app, one I'd never seen her use. Their chat was full of messages that made me sick. I miss you already. Can't wait until our next meeting. You looked amazing today. And one that broke me. Evan's father suspects nothing. He's too trusting. My hands were shaking as I read it. I took screenshots of everything, every message, every timestamp. Then I put the tablet back exactly how it was. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathe beside me, wondering how someone could share a bed with you and lie so effortlessly. By morning, I had a plan. I wasn't going to scream or cry or beg for the truth. I was going to show it to her. That Friday, the school was hosting a parent-teacher conference event. Melissa insisted we both go to show support. Perfect. I transferred all the screenshots onto a small USB drive and created a slideshow. Short, simple, undeniable. When we arrived, Mr. Blake was there, chatting politely with other parents. Melissa avoided looking at him too much, but I saw the nervous tension in her eyes. The moment came during the final part of the meeting when the school's slideshow was being prepared on the projector. I waited for a chance, then quietly switched my drive with theirs, one that had my presentation. And as the lights dimmed, the first image that appeared wasn't about class activities. It was a message from the chat. Can't stop thinking about last night. You're incredible. Gasps filled the room. Parents turned. Teachers froze. Melissa's face went pale. The next slide showed a picture, a selfie she'd sent him from our bed. Then another message. He'll never find out. The principal jumped up, shouting, "Turn that off!" But it was too late. Everyone had seen. Melissa ran out crying. Mr. Blake stood there, speechless, face red, sweat pouring from his forehead. I followed her out, calm as ice. She turned to me, tears streaming. "How could you do that to me, in front of everyone?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "You did this to yourself, Melissa. I just stopped pretending." She sobbed harder. "You humiliated me." "No," I said quietly. "You humiliated your family." Then I walked away, leaving her standing there in the school parking lot, the same place where she had destroyed my trust weeks earlier. That night, she didn't come home. And for once, I slept. Not peacefully, not happily, but with the weight of lies finally off my chest. Still, deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. Not yet. Because the worst kind of betrayal doesn't end with exposure. It lingers, infecting everything it touched. And soon, karma would finish what I started. Melissa didn't come home that night. I didn't expect her to. When I woke the next morning, the house was eerily quiet. No sound of coffee brewing, no clatter of dishes, no familiar morning chaos. Just silence. Evan noticed it too. "Where's Mom?" he asked, rubbing his eyes. I hesitated. "She's staying at Grandma's for a few days." It wasn't the truth, but it was the only answer that wouldn't break him. Not yet. He nodded slowly, still too young to question much. Then he went back to eating cereal while I stared at the empty chair across the table. The chair she used to fill every morning. Now it was just a hollow space, like the one she'd carved inside me. Later that day, my phone buzzed. It was Melissa. Her message read, "We need to talk, please." I didn't respond immediately. I didn't even know if I wanted to hear her voice. But eventually curiosity won. I agreed to meet her, in a public place. I wasn't about to sit alone with someone I no longer recognized. We met at a quiet cafe across town. She showed up wearing sunglasses, her face pale and puffy.
The first words out of her mouth were, "You ruined my life." I let out a humorless laugh. "You think I ruined your life? You did that the moment you decided our vows didn't matter." She shook her head, voice trembling. "You didn't have to humiliate me in front of everyone. I lost my friends, my reputation, everything." I cut her off. "And what about me, Melissa? What about the years I spent trusting you? The home I built for us? You didn't think about that when you were sneaking around with Evan's teacher?" Tears streamed down her face. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen." I leaned back, staring at her. The woman I used to adore, now just a stranger wearing her face. "People don't accidentally cheat," I said quietly. "You made choices, repeatedly." She looked down, her voice breaking. "I just felt invisible. You were always working, always tired. Mr. Blake made me feel seen." There it was, the justification I knew was coming. I worked so you wouldn't have to worry about anything. I gave you stability, and you paid me back with betrayal. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was heavy, filled with words we couldn't take back. Finally, she whispered, "What are you going to do now?" I looked her straight in the eye. "Move on, without you." A week later, divorce papers were on the table. She didn't fight much, maybe because she knew she didn't have a leg to stand on. Mr. Blake resigned from his teaching job not long after the scandal. The school launched an internal investigation, and the local paper caught wind of the story. His reputation was ruined. Melissa tried to rebuild her image online. New accounts, new photos, new city. But the internet never forgets. Her name was linked to every article about the teacher-parent affair. Karma, I thought. Evan took it hard when the truth finally came out. Kids are smarter than we think. He overheard enough from neighbors and classmates to piece it together. "Why did Mom do that?" he asked me one night, tears in his eyes. I wanted to protect him from the bitterness inside me, but lying felt wrong. I said, "She made a mistake. A big one. But it's not your fault, and it doesn't change how much she loves you." He nodded, trying to be brave, but I could see the hurt. From that day on, I made him a promise. I'd never let someone else's choices break us again. Months passed. Life slowly returned to something like normal. I threw myself into work, but I also made time for Evan. Soccer games, movie nights, road trips, things I used to skip because I thought providing was enough. I realized something profound during that time. Sometimes betrayal isn't the end of your life, it's the end of who you used to be, and the beginning of who you're meant to become. One afternoon, while picking up Evan from school, I saw Melissa for the first time in months. She looked different, thinner, tired, but strangely peaceful. She approached me slowly. "Hi, Daniel." I nodded. "Hi." "I just wanted to say thank you for taking care of Evan, for not turning him against me." I sighed. "He's our son, Melissa. Whatever happened between us isn't his burden." She nodded, tears forming again. "I know. I'm trying to fix myself. Therapy, new job. It's hard, but I needed this wake-up call." I believed her, not because I wanted to, but because she finally sounded sincere. Sometimes pain is the only thing that makes people honest. That night, as I watched Evan sleep, I thought about everything we'd lost and everything we still had. My marriage was gone, my trust shattered, but in its place, something new had grown: clarity. I learned that love without respect isn't love at all, that loyalty isn't proven by words, but by consistency, and that sometimes revenge isn't destruction, it's simply moving on better than before. Melissa's life was now a constant reminder of her choices. She'd lost her comfort, her reputation, her place in our home. And I gained peace. The kind of peace that comes when you stop fighting for people who were never willing to fight for you. A year later, on the day my divorce officially finalized, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a photo of Evan and me, taken years ago, by Melissa. Below it, she had written, "I hope one day you can forgive me. I finally understand what I lost." I didn't reply, because forgiveness isn't something you say, it's something you live. And I was already living it. Sometimes the people you trust the most become your greatest lesson. But the real victory isn't in hurting them back. It's in refusing to let their betrayal define your future. Melissa lost everything because she chose temporary attention over lasting love. And I gained everything because I chose healing over hate.